Welcome in everybody to another episode of the Fly High Wi-Fi Mental Health Podcast. Uh, it's been a busy couple weeks for all of us. Sorry we didn't get to you guys last week, but we are again here this week with a few topics and a few things. Hope everybody's been well. As the weather starts to get nicer, you guys hope get outside, enjoy yourselves, get some vitamin D. Sunshine's good for your health. I know, being a Michigan person, we don't get to see it as much in the wintertime, so it's been nice lately. Um, Today, we're going to talk about substance use disorder and addiction and the impacts of sleep on your mental health. Marcus, you almost got me. You almost got me, son. All right. But those are the topics we're going to be discussing today. And I'm ready to kick it off if you are.
Cool. Um, so we're going to talk about understanding drug use or substance use and addiction facts.
Okay.
So I know this is a big topic that everyone talks about. Many people don't understand why or how people become addicted to drugs. Um, so they may mistakenly think that those who use drugs lack moral or principles or willpower, but in reality, drug addiction is actually a complex disease, and more studies that are coming out. Um, Quitting usually takes more than good intentions or strong will, even though those play a big part in actually doing it. The more you use drugs, it actually changes the chemical makeup and the way your brain functions. So, yes, the first act or the first initial decision of taking drugs is voluntary for most people, but the repeated use of drugs can lead to that change in
Okay.
your brain. And that's what makes it become a disease because it's changing the way you use your brain.
Makes sense.
Um, and this is the same thing for relapse. Just because somebody relapses doesn't mean like a treatment's not working. Um, it just means like you have to kind of start from the beginning and retrain the brain to think from that first step.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of people
And
that relapse,
mhm,
it it's repeated. It's not just one
yep,
time, two times. It's a lot usually,
hmm
and that's probably where they're learning more and more about it with this study.
yep. Um, so a big thing with what happens to the brain when a person takes drugs or uses a substance. So most drugs affect the brain's reward center. Um, so it's flooding the chemical messenger with dopamine. So we all know what dopamine is. It's what makes
Right?
you like happy. Um, So a properly functioning reward system motivates a person to repeat behaviors needed to thrive, such as eating, spending time with loved ones. Surges of dopamine in that reward circuit cause the reinforcement of pleasure. But unhealthy behaviors like taking drugs can lead people to repeat that behavior again and again because that's what it affects is that reward center.
The reward center. Okay.
So as they're doing that, that's what causes that addiction to kind of build because it's affecting that dopamine rush. So the brain is telling them they need to do it again and again and again.
Understandable.
So as that continues, the brain adapts by reducing the ability of the cells in the reward center to respond to it. And this increases the tolerance to it. So this is when people start taking more because they need more to hit that reward center or that dopamine level that they had before. So that's when people start taking more to kind of reach that dopamine level that they were
The higher
hitting
dopamine,
before.
right? And then
hmm
the more tolerance becomes higher.
The more they need to do. So the longer they use, the more changes it causes within the brain um, systems and circuits. as well as affecting functions that include learning, judgment, making decisions, stress, memory, and behavior. There was also some studies that they have started. Why do some people become addicted to certain drugs while others don't? And there's no specific factor that can predict whether a person will become addicted to a drug or a substance that they're using. But there is a combination of factors, and it comes down to like your biology, your environment, and your development.
Okay.
And then, can drug addiction or substance abuse be cured or prevented? Obviously, it can be prevented if you never start, but it
That's
cannot
yeah.
be cured.
No, it's never. It's something that's not cured. You're just preventing it or maintaining.
Yep, addiction is treatable and can also be managed. However, once that is started within the brain, you can never fully reverse the effects of what it had.
And that makes sense why a lot of people relapse.
Yep. They are kind of placing substance use or addiction, so not really use, but when it hits the point of addiction, as a chronic disease because it leads to the compulsion or difficulty to control. So it's being placed under a chronic disease.
Okay, that's understandable. I think it is because being around you guys know my mom was a drug addict. My real dad was a drug addict. Since high school, I've lost probably 15 to 17 friends from drug addiction around this area. So drug addiction's been around me my whole life, and it's been one of the reasons why I have never started or even tried because it's around me and it being with my mom, my dad, my uncle, my brother. All of them have been through it and struggled. Even my sister struggled with it. That's in me. If they're gonna say, it's a disease, and does anything say anything about like hereditary?
That would go back to biology.
Yeah. So I don't.
So the genes of the person born with it.
Okay, so
So
it is
it can be
something that
passed
could be
down.
passed down. Okay, so yes, hereditary is a thing. So that's one thing that seeing it and the bad things that I had to do or see in my whole childhood, it made me never want to do it. So that was my preventative maintenance to it. But I don't know if I ever got started how I would be. I might have went down that dark road. I might not have been able to control it. I might have relapsed. So the only thing I think kept me from doing it is seeing my parents like that and my mom and then my mom eventually dying of a drug overdose. So
Yep. And I think kind of along that, like you knew when you saw around you, you didn't start because you didn't know how you'd react. I think also knowing your own personality. Like I know I have a personality once I like start something, I get very into it.
mhm,
And that could be going back to just even like working out. That working out can become like an addiction because if you have to do it, we talked about this, if you have to do it at a certain time, this and it ruins your day, that is not a healthy habit.
yeah,
So addiction goes back to even activities you're doing. So I know
video
I have an
games.
addictive
Video
hmm
games is huge.
Yes. I have an addictive personality, so like I knew that growing up. I did it with sports. Like
Mhm.
sports, I was addicted to the feeling that sports gave me, so I never got into any of that other stuff because I was like, if I'm like this with sports, I can only imagine what I would fall into if I started doing other things.
Absolutely.
So it also talks about like who's most likely to become an addict. Um, we've already talked a little bit, everyone's body reacts differently to any substance or any drug. Um, Not everybody who it becomes an ad or does drugs is going to become an addict, but a
Right.
big part of it, and you've already touched on it, is family history. Um, dream, Genes are responsible for about half of your odds.
Okay. Half of them, as you just read it. So that's one thing that I was curious about is the hereditary thing.
Um, Another big indicator is how early drug use starts. So in children, brains are still growing, so that impact is higher on an underdeveloped brain, and you have to think about it. Our brain is not fully developed until we're 25 because that's when that frontal lobe is fully developed. So if you start using anything before then, you have a higher impact to how
Become
they're going to
addicted.
impact you.
Okay.
Um, any type of mental disorders. So if you're depressed, you're at a higher risk. If you have anxiety, you're at a higher risk.
Yeah, because they're uppers. A lot of them are. They give you that dopamine you're talking about, and that makes you
Yep.
happy. So
Yep. So it opens up that dopamine hit that you're gonna go for. Um, and then trouble in your relationships. And that could be family troubles, it could be partners, it could be friendships, because again, you're getting that dopamine hit. So this is
right,
gonna relieve that stress that you're having. So signs of addiction is an urge to use the drug or substance every day, taking more drugs than you want to. So these are going to be very similar to the alcohol or
right.
um, always having the drug with you, spending more time alone, not caring about yourself or caring how you look, stealing, lying, or doing dangerous things like driving while high, or doing other dangerous activities, and spending most of your time using or recovering from the effects of the drug and feeling sick when you try to quit.
Yeah, the relapse is bad, and then or the well, I should say recovery. The recovery bad for this first 72 hours. You're gonna be hurting when you're withdrawing from all that medicine or drugs and stuff, even
Hmm.
prescription drugs. And that's where a lot of drug addiction has started in the
That's
last
where
10
it's.
years. I'm huge in that one. Like well, the wife just came off of her medicine for her breaking her leg, and I was like on her like white on rice, and then she finally just weaned herself completely off of it and doesn't need any of it. So that made me happy considering my like family history with it. But she's a strong person, and she can monitor herself and know when it's time. So
Mhm. And that's a lot of stories if you read or hear them. Again, listening to podcasts all the time, there was a child that ended up in an abusive household because her parents were in a car accident and they ended up on painkillers, and it changed her whole life because they
absolutely,
ended up getting addicted to the painkillers, and then they ended up being addicted to other substances when they stopped being able to get the painkillers.
and
And she said she lived such a good life before it, but all it was is they were following the doctor's orders, which do like follow your doctor's orders, just be careful
but they
because
might be over prescribing. You don't even know.
yeah.
So
But it changed this girl's life because
right.
all they did was listen to the doctors.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like we had a big drug epidemic here where a bunch of doctors got raided, and one of them was actually in prison for like 15 years for overprescribing, and he was working till 2 3 a.m. Let people come into his office and just write him scripts. They'd go, but this is before they made the MAP system like as tight as it is because of controlled substance. Now, when you go to take a prescription into one pharmacy, now it has to report to this MAP system,
Hmm.
and now it can see that you can't take it to this pharmacy, get a script from a different doctor, and go to this pharmacy. Like they can't do that no more, and that was huge around here because I knew a bunch of guys that were addicted to drugs. They would go get one script from one doctor and take it over to this pharmacy and then go to this one in the same day. But how they were doing it all is they were selling one script to these guys and taking this script. and it was bad around here for a while. A couple of my buddies were so hooked they ended up getting on meth and heroin when they couldn't get their painkillers no more. And when I went to prison for home invasion of his own family.
It's just it's something you got to be cautious about because it is a very slippery slope, and
It really
that's
is.
why there's such high numbers. That's like what we're gonna get into next is like
Oh, the
the
numbers? Oh,
statistics.
I love
Yeah.
numbers. I love numbers. I'm a numbers
um,
guy.
so 40.3 million people in the US had a substance use disorder in 2000 or 2020.
One more time on that number.
40.3 million.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's a high number.
It it is, but you have to think that doesn't
That's
account
just
for
in the
like any
U.S.
in the US, but it doesn't account for any homeless people. It doesn't account for anybody who's not getting treated. This is just people getting treated
Right. So
because these
I
are
can
where they're
imagine
getting
it's
the numbers
probably
of yeah.
that's only probably 35% of the actual number because not
hmm
everybody's gonna get treatment or have anything to be reported to.
And the fourth highest out of everything was prescription opioids.
That's what it
So we were
is.
just saying, yeah. Um, Also in that same year, only 6% of people received treatment. So that's a 6% number of everybody.
Okay, so it was even less or even less than what I thought. It's
hmm
crazy.
In 2021, about 107,000 people died of drug overdose.
107,000?
hmm
I mean, that's not how many people die in a car accident, I wonder, every year.
I don't know. That's probably higher, honestly.
Yeah, I was just trying to give it a comparable number. So I can look it up real quick. But go ahead. I'll look it up. We'll come back to that.
Well, that's the last thing I have for.
Oh, okay. So
So you got to look it up quick.
number of deaths by car accident per year.
Oh,
US though.
Cricky looked it up.
Oh. Oh wow.
So
No, it's not.
this is over double.
42,514 people. Yeah, that's crazy
Yeah,
from motor vehicle.
this is over double
Over
people
double.
died because of drug overdose.
So now another thing I kind of want to get into next would be like we talk about caffeine,
I was gonna
tobacco,
go into like
okay, nicotine, marijuana. Like we already talked about marijuana a little bit, but it's becoming so recreational now in a lot of states that them numbers are going to change drastically for things. But I can't remember the numbers on. Hello, Kayla. How many deaths per year were from marijuana? But I couldn't imagine it was very high. I don't think it was.
well, there's numbers are starting to change because they're saying there's a long-term effect on people who do marijuana with their hearts.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure there's some type of statistic, but I was gonna do like gambling and caffeine.
Caffeine.
I'm
Okay.
somebody who is
I
like
I'm addicted to caffeine. I won't even lie to you, guys. I got a problem.
I don't
Hi,
I
I'm
don't
Ryan.
drink
I'm
coffee, I
addicted
get
to
a
caffeine.
headache, so I'm
Yeah,
hands down no, I'm addicted to
yeah.
caffeine.
There's no doubt about it. I every day I have at least one energy drink at minimum.
I was gonna say I get a caffeine headache if I don't drink
Yeah,
caffeine, so it's my body is going through the relapse when I don't have it. So
headache. Yes, absolutely. He goes, I am caffeine in my blood, right?
yeah,
Uh,
and like we're just talking about like the really big ones right now, but there are ones where it's like there's people who are addicted to their phone, like you talked about gaming. It's where some people can't like sit down their phone without like panicking on where it is. Like these were just like the, I guess, heavy hitters, whereas alcohol and then
Right.
the
The
substance
more
use.
known that are creating more deaths versus
Yeah,
disorders of mental health will be next with the
yeah,
caffeine and phone, video games, screen time, period.
yeah. Screen
But
time period is a big one.
yeah,
Like,
um,
I know I deleted a lot of things off my phone just because it was impacting me. So,
yeah, I agree to that. The kids, 100% right now, they get off one video game, they go to the Oculus or they go play on their phone, or then they get on and watch TV. So it's like literally behind a screen if they're not outside. Like Parker had basketball today, so that was good. And it's been decent outside today, but it was windy. Whew.
yeah, I was just going right from work and getting on like something else, and I was like, well, I was just staring at a iPad, looking at plans or whatnot. And I was like, I can't keep doing it.
Cricky says his daily average for screen time is 5 hours 54 minutes. That's just on your phone recorded, right, Cricky? That's you staring at your phone. That's not including you sitting down at the computer or you watching something on your computer because yeah, he said that's just on his phone. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want to look
Yeah,
at mine either. And that's the good thing
I was
about
gonna say
Apples.
mine was getting up there super high too, and I was like, no, we're gonna just.
How do you I'll look at it later and report? Oh, right here, screen time.
I think there, yeah, I think there's like a screen time thing.
Oh, it's all turned off. Sucking nerds.
But you really didn't want to tell on
I
yourself.
don't. Yeah. Sucking nerds. Yeah, I'm not. I'm
Um,
good with that one. I don't want to be dimed out by my 22 hours out of 24 because I can't sleep because I'm addicted to watching reels on
no,
Facebook. You know.
hey, it'll help your sleeping too. I've been sleeping better now that I don't have all the blue light,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. All right. So does
Um,
that cover that one?
yes.
As we talk about sleep, that leads us right into
I
our
was
next
gonna say,
topic.
it leads us right into the next topic.
The impacts of sleep
Uh,
on your mental health is what we're going to talk about
yes.
now, guys.
I think really just sleep on your health in general, but mental health. So how is mental health related to sleep? Just in like general, your brain activity fluctuates while you're sleeping. It increases and decreases during the different stages of sleep, um, making up the different stages of your sleep cycle. I'm sure everyone's heard of like your light sleep, your deep sleep, and then you go back out of your light sleep. So each stage actually plays a role in your brain health. So if you're not hitting all of those stages, you're not like repairing your brain in any way. Your brain needs to ramp up and ramp down to enable better thinking, learning, and memory. So sleep is essential for your brain to do what it needs to do for your body. Um, Research has also found recently that it uncovers that your brain activity during sleep has a profound effect on emotions. So,
Oh, I can see that.
which,
When people are
if you don't get
tired,
a lot
they're
of sleep,
cranky.
you wake
Yeah.
up and you're cranky.
Yeah, yeah, I'm cranky. I'm a little diva when I'm tired.
um, so when you're in your REM sleep, which is, I'm pretty sure, the deep sleep, your brain is processing that emotional information.
Okay, and
So that's,
do they give like a time frame at all? Like when you averagely hit these times,
I
or like,
think you fall on your REM sleep after about an hour. Like you
yeah,
have
I
to
think
be
it's
in.
like an hour and a half to 3 hours is like your cusp for that to start,
Hmm. And then you're
and
in that until about an hour before you wake up.
yes, and then you start
So
to
if you're
hear things
not
around
getting,
you, and
mhm.
we love you too, freedom.
So if you're not getting into that REM cycle and staying in that REM cycle, you're not your brain's not processing those emotions, or that emotional state.
Now, another thing that I kind of think of as somebody that through the military, lack of sleep, and you train yourself, you get everything done with the 4 hours of sleep you get per day, right? Um, is there a way to train your brain to do the process that it needs to faster? Is there anything in there about the studies of that? So instead of needing that hour and a half to 5 hours, 6 hours, can you does your brain learn to do it faster in them short time? I doubt it, but
I don't know that answer, but I would highly doubt it because they're always saying like you need like
8 hours of
six
sleep.
to 8 hours of sleep. And then they even say like women need more sleep, like when they're pregnant or stuff like that, because their body is taking in so much more. They need time, more time for their brain to process what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why. But in today's life, it's so hard to get 8 hours of sleep if you're with kids or a job because, especially if you're single and you're taking care of everything by yourself or what you have, the animals and everything else going on around you. And if you want to have any kind of social life or activities to do, you're burning out.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't go to sleep by like 8 o'clock driving to Cheyenne, I'm not getting 8 hours of
Yeah,
sleep.
right. And who goes to bed at 8 o'clock?
Me.
Well, you probably got into the routine after you had to start driving that far. Yeah,
um, and well, even then, I'm getting up at like 3:45, so I'm still not technically getting 8 hours of sleep.
right. My CPAP machine requires minimum of 4 hours to register any data.
It's,
There's
there you
been
go.
nights where I don't even get data for like a week straight because I would get up at 3:45, but by the time I got relaxed and laid down and put it on, it was midnight.
But it's been found if you don't find a way into the REM cycle, at least for like some parts of the night, suicidal ideas and behaviors are at a higher risk because you're not processing.
And that makes a lot of sense. So much sense. Yeah. Thanks, military. Not only messed me up, but you also took my sleep cycle away.
Yeah. Um, so it also breaks down sleep and specific mental health problems. So getting into like depression, around 70% of depressed people show symptoms of insomnia, and they suffer from excessive daytime sleepiness. And that's when they actually can sleep well versus at night they can't seem to sleep. So it has a negative feedback loop on poor sleeping at night and their depression worsens. But if they can get into a sleep routine at night, their depression gets better. So that's 75% of people who have depression.
Okay.
Um, Seasonal affective disorder, we talked about, which is sad. One of the reasons why this is um, a depression and why it flares up is due to daylight savings.
Okay.
We switch the times and our bodies don't adjust. So there's a disruption in people's internal biological clock, so we're not sleeping the way we should. So that
Right.
increases, not only does like the daylight disappear.
Dog's barking at somebody. Sorry.
Um, no, you good? You go check on it.
No, he's just barking. He's done.
Okay. Um, so our internal biological clock is disrupted by this as well.
Right.
So the increase of that depression comes around during that time, not only just because of the seasonal change, but our internal
Biological
clock is
clock.
changing
Right.
as yeah.
It's great for us when it's dark. Time we leave for work, the
We're
time we come home.
Yeah, so we have that, and then we can't sleep, so it's like, here
Yeah.
you go, here's everything.
Yeah.
Um, so it talks about anxiety disorders. 20% of adults and 25% of teenagers with this disorder have an increase of symptoms if they're not sleeping well. And this goes along with anyone with OCD, phobias, or PTSD. Symptoms increase when they are not able to get sleep.
See, and that's where the PTSD thing gets tricky for me because if they're having nightmares or daymares and they're sleeping, they're not going to want to fall asleep. They're going to try to stay up as long as possible if they're having nightmares. And then they're going to
And
go
that's what it
even the
says.
worse. Is that what it
It
says?
says people with PTSD frequently replay negative events in their mind, suffer from nightmares, and experience a state of being alert. So this interferes with their sleep. At least 90% of people with PTSD have worsened symptoms when this occurs because they're not sleeping.
Absolutely. I knew that one was
It's
coming
a
right
it's a
away.
vicious
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it's a
really
vicious
is.
cycle because you're fighting what you need, which I totally
But
understand.
you're
With my
scared
PTSD,
of what comes from what you need.
I can go great for sleeping for a while, and then the first time I have a nightmare that reminds me of everything, then I'm fighting sleep for weeks, and I'm like, why is everything getting worse? It's
Yeah.
because I'm fighting the sleep I need, but I also am fighting the PTSD. Like,
And then you
it's a
finally get
vicious
back
cycle.
into a good sleep cycle, and then that shit happens all over again, and then you're going right through it
Yep.
again.
Mm-hmm. It goes into pretty much like most of the disorders that you can have, like bipolar, schizophrenia, they're all tied to if you're not getting good sleep, they're all gonna increase.
Absolutely. Well, you just like we talked about hangry being a thing, like how
Hmm.
food messes with you and stuff. Sleep is the same thing. And also with sleep, lack of sleep can make you feel intoxicated.
It's worse than
It's called
drinking, honestly.
it's sleep drunkenness is what it's called, and it's crazy because you can have like a blood alcohol feeling of like 0.06, and it's pretty bad if you go 48 hours without sleep.
I was gonna say, I've been driving before where I was so tired where I felt like I was drunk and I was like, I should not be driving, but I'm not drunk.
Been so tired I hallucinated.
It's so bad.
Yeah, driving down the road and be like, was there a car there?
I was gonna say, was there a
Yeah,
person there? Like, because
yeah.
I've definitely been like questioning if I saw a person at 4 a.m. in the
or
morning
you
on the side of the road.
or you think you're gonna hit something in the middle of the road that's not there, so you're like, it's been bad.
Wakes you right up.
Yeah, oh yeah, for about 45 seconds, then you go right back into the same thing.
No, just chew minty gum. You're good.
Yeah. Roll the window down, stick your head out the window. Turn the heat on
I've done
high.
that.
Yeah.
I've done that
Turn
before
the
too.
turn the music up. I've tried all the tricks of the book. Sunflower seeds seem to help the most though to keep me constantly doing something.
Ugh. Um, so examples of steps towards like healthier sleep habits. Obviously, this is all different for everybody. I have a set routine, and this is if you need to like listen to music, if you need to write in a journal, if you have like a wind down where you shower, face routine, and like you do it. Because if you're like we're saying with your brain, if you're doing the same thing and it's telling your body it's time to start winding down and you get into that routine, your body's going to start automatically knowing
It's time for
it's
sleep.
time to go to sleep.
Right.
You have to start the routine, obviously, and it's going to take a little while for your body to adjust, but you're going to start to know I got in the shower, I brushed my teeth, I washed my face. Now, like, your body's going to start being like, okay, that's bedtime.
Right.
Um, Avoid alcohol, tobacco, or caffeine in the evening.
Guilty.
Put lights or dimming lights, putting away all electronic devices an hour or more before bed.
I fall asleep with my phone in my hand. What do you mean?
I was gonna say I sleep with the TV on now because my brain has a I have to have. I
Mine
will
is
wake up if the
tinnitus. My tinnitus is so damn bad. Like the ringing in the room. Oh, if there's no sound, it'd drive me absolutely nuts, and I'll just sit there and want to like choke everything in the room.
I was gonna say
Pillows,
if the
guys,
TV
pillows.
stops, I wake up. It's like an instant.
Oh, really? That's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
I will. If I know when the TV, like the Netflix says, "Are you still watching?" I wake up
Yeah.
instantly.
Like, don't ask
I'm
me
not
again.
watching, but I still need you on. Um, Getting regular exercise and natural light exposure during the day. So the regular exercise is tiring your body out in like a natural way. Same with like the natural light exposure. You're getting your body into like a natural way of tiring itself out.
Right. I know I used to work out early morning, and then it gives you like you get tired for that little bit, then it gives you that rush of like energy. And then I couldn't work out later at night because by the time I came home to wind down, I was all amped up and ready to go. So I always had to, like, I used to play basketball at night and volleyball and stuff at for rec league, and I would not be able to sleep when I got home because I was still so amped up from working out.
Hmm.
So
I guess I didn't think about that because it gives you like that adrenaline boost. Because I used to do that too.
yeah.
Then I was ready to go.
And then my dad's like, "Go to bed." I'm like, "I can't. No."
Um, Maximizing comfort and support from your mattress, pillows, and bedding. It's just finding a way of being comfortable.
I invested in a U-shaped pregnancy pillow. It's cooling.
Okay.
Just cuddle it.
Um, that's pretty much it.
All right. Yeah, I'm interested to see about the caffeine and all that. That's a good one to look into. And guys, again, you guys ever want to have topics brought up or more talked about that you want to share with everybody, or you're more curious about if we can get some more information on it for you? Alyssa has some pretty good contacts with what she does, so she pulls these statistics and gets some good information for us. Uh, we appreciate her for that. Um,
Try to, anyways.
right? So if you guys ever want to bring up a topic or a subject that you guys were really interested in, you want to share with other people as well, and don't know how, we will put it on the show and help get it made aware. Got anything else?
Just got
Me
the
neither.
topics for, well, at least one of them for next time.
What is that? The caffeine one, or like substance?
Something
See,
like
that's
that, yeah.
it's kind of a substance though. It's like a because it's FDA. It's a drug.
Is it a drug?
Yeah, your deodorant's a drug.
It's like a different category.
Yeah, but your deodorant's a drug.
I can buy
Because
that
it
over the
alters
counter.
yeah, but it alters the your body's state, right? When you put it on your
What
skin.
type of deodorant are you using?
No, it's read into it. It's a drug. Yes, biological chemical compound. Yes, thank you, Cricky.
But you can, okay, but like, I can
Is it?
take that into the airport and not go to jail for it.
Yeah, you can take caffeine into the airport and not go to jail for it too.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we can sit here all night and go back and forth on that one. All right. Till the next time, guys. We appreciate you as always. Again, guys, we are on Facebook. You guys can see the commands at the bottom. We do have a Discord that is open to anybody and everybody. We have now the Twitch page. If you guys want to come over and watch us live stream the podcast, it is also Fly High Wi-Fi on Twitch, and we would love for you guys to join us on that. Our social media. Besides that, we have a Twitter or an X, whatever you guys want to call it these days. We do have merch also. If you guys are interested in hoodies like this with the logo, T-shirts, hats, tumblers, all that stuff is on there. Mouse pads. And if you guys want something else on there also and don't see it, let us know and we can put it on there. For those in the live stream right now, Cricky did put the link for the merch. If you guys are interested, please feel free. All the proceedings from that go back into the foundation and to help us help others. So that's really huge for us because funding's huge around here to help others. So, and if you guys want to donate, also we have the FHW dono links that are also attached to the chat or on Twitter. So we appreciate you guys. Until the next time, bye.
Bye.